welcome to the 157th weekly live stream. Today joining us, we got the ever lovely Fluffy's Eye.
Hi.
And there's a small tadpole in the spawning pool.
Yellow.
And there's me, an undead wreck. So today we have a few pictures lined up. First one is not all the pictures. They're all lined up, like in a weird grid pattern. First one is by Lemans65, and it is finished drawing Limestone Pie. Hope y'all like it.
You're a grim proponent.
Well, Limestone is a grumpy pony.
Did you have any other questions?
That is all they have.
I think I know what pose this was referenced from. Well, like what shot this is. I think this was referenced from a shot from the show.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a good idea.
I think the thing that stands out to me is the legs are could use some spacing out. Like, get these back legs doing a little bit more, something kind of like that, so that they're just a little bit more stable. As we draw all over your picture.
That's how we do it.
It just works better. Words are fine, but this is art, so let's do art over top of your picture.
That's what we've been doing.
All right. So for the head, it looks like you have a head circle mostly correct. It just looks like you placed the mane too far down on that. So I'd raise it up, give it a little more height to it, just to stop that entire head from squishing. With that, you're going to have to raise the eyes a bit more too, because they sit up like up here. And right now you've just completely squashed them down. They should be up more towards this side. Let's give you a different color over here. Towards this area. That's just going to help raise the head a bit, stop all that squashing that's going on. I would also consider shortening the neck just a bit. Just because her leg length is pretty show standard, where it's about one head height. And same as your bodies, where it's 1.5-ish. Just if you're going with standard show proportions, we can keep that up with the regular neck length. So that's what I got.
Yeah, I just straightened up. Oh, my color's gone. Probably. Just straightened up the shoulder a little bit, and the legs. Put them so the chest sort of came out very far from the legs. And you really don't need to have the chest shooting out like this. It doesn't really make too much sense. So just like a bit of a gentle curve going in here, tucking behind the legs. You don't have to do this part, but I also put a bump on the shoulder here, just to show sort of where the form bends, and then just tuck the legs together, make it look a little bit nicer.
How are you, Tadpole? You got anything?
I think the other thing is just it looks like you were doing it pretty well beforehand, but just keeping track of how the hoof placement lines up in perspective, or in the 3D. So I think you did that pretty all right. Maybe it's just the placement forward and backwards that was throwing me off. But yeah, I think other than that, pretty.
All right then. Let's
Pretty good.
move. No butt tail. That is correct. No butt tails. Raise the butt to the top of the spine, which follows along the like the yars. All right. Let's go on to the next one. This one's slightly taller than normal, so I didn't want to crush it too much. This one is by Crystal Coffee. We had them last week, I believe, for another picture. Looks like they returned with a adorable comic.
This is super cute. Love it.
The ponies are very...
Questions slowly getting more and more hard to answer.
So, they don't have any questions on here. It's just Little Pony asks big questions.
I see CPC's already on the legs, but the legs feel very sausagey to me. Like they're there's a bit of inconsistency between the sizes of them, and they are just sort of like a blob of ellipsis, where they could be a little bit more shapely, just to sort of show the legs. Typically focus on having the legs bigger towards the hoof than the beginning. Most styles do that because they just look kind of weird, being a uniform size. So thicken out those hooves. I'm just going to go over what CPC's down here. My own attempt.
My
Very
thing
good.
is I'm looking at this fourth panel here, and this hoof needs one more joint. This leg needs one more joint to it. So you'd have the kind of shoulder-ish joint here, and then you'd have I'd say you'd have the elbow,
This is
wrist,
a walk.
and then the thing.
Oh yeah. Since this is a walking back position, I think what they're trying to do is have the leg actually bent this way, like it's in sort of a stretched back position. Then that needs
like
this
leaning back.
Yeah, because this is like
behind the head.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is sort of like in the walking poses are hard to do. I actually think this leg should come forward. Yeah. Maybe.
No,
Is
this
there
one has to go backwards because it's always the opposite. I think.
Yeah.
If I remember
Generally,
correctly.
yes.
So they have to move both. Have to move away, and then the other side they are both moving inwards.
I know what happens typically is so with this pony over here, this one is lifting up to move forward, so that will plant down, and then this back one will move, and I don't know. It sort of goes in diagonals from what I've seen of horses moving, because I have tried to work out their walking cycle before.
Yeah, this one is on the floor, so this one is up.
Mm-hmm.
I think. I mean,
Yeah, I sort of remembered it when the back leg comes in, it pushes the front leg forward, kind of thing. But then there's the other side, and it's sort of moving in diagonals. That's why with this hoof will be placed down here, so then this one will be the next to move and go that way. It's hard to work out, and it's worth looking up horse walk cycles and pony walk cycles. It is a difficult thing to do. I struggle with it a lot, and I've always looked up pony walk cycles myself, and you get vectors where people try to show how they do the walk cycles in the show and everything, and that helps. But also looking at how actual horses move.
Really love their characterization in these, though.
Yeah, that's super cute.
Such a great face over here. This. Yeah.
I love the ones in the last panel, yeah.
And they always do seem to take care to make sure that who the characters are actually looking at each other, which is very important for, well, for any characters that are interacting. Because if they're, for instance, if we were to do these eyes like would often happen, they'd be off over here, and they'd just be staring off into nowhere land, just sort of 1,000-mile stare.
Yeah.
So great on you. You've done a great job with your characterization.
I love that. Why aren't pencils more hoof oriented?
That's also fair. I mean, why aren't they?
Questions we always ask.
Although we did see one being held like taped to a hoof, so that's
Yeah.
clean.
I imagine that's how like art would be done. Like that's definitely how I would draw in Pony World. It's just tape. Like you have like a brace, so you slot the pencil in. It's like something you strap around your hand. You just slot the pencil into the side and just draw.
Unicorns are just unfair again.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
But I do like that you've got like the
This
like
is
the. Oh, sorry.
not working out.
I
It is
I'm just getting frustrated.
It's a difficult one to do, and I think you did have a good. Were doing it. You sort of had it before, I think. I've struggled with this pose as well.
Well, it's not a natural pose for any
Mhm.
quadrupedal creature, and so I think a
Mhm.
degree of anthropomorphizing is
Yeah, that's what you
required.
typically have to do when they break pony anatomy.
It's kind of
Just
turn
give
it
him a
into a little
horn.
bit of a human type of joint.
Oh, maybe if the wrist turns the other side.
I would cheat by giving them a shoulder, which is a thing that they sometimes get, sometimes lose, depending on the pose. But if you give them a shoulder, you can use that as a flexing point, so you can place
Yeah,
the rest of
yeah.
that arm easily.
Because the lack of that does make it quite tricky.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it looks like it has too few joints, and then like you can't get to bend right or sit right in the body.
I mean, you've given a bit of a shoulder for this one here, as it is, with this markings up here. So it's not that hard to push it over to the next one.
Good doodling, Tad.
Yeah. Anyone else got anything on these? Beyond more fluff?
Yeah, let's add more fluff.
If you're looking to take the comic further, I'd recommend starting to get into inking and line work and everything. And start practicing with that. Working on getting that nice and clean, and then it'll help. I don't know. It'll be kind of the next step. And then color. And then the world.
And then fluff.
All right, let's move on
Fluff
to the last one then. Fluff. Endless fluff.
Wait, I can't go to my
Uh-oh.
razor again. Draw pile is so weird.
There seems to be a very upset Flutter or Twilight down at the bottom, with fluff monsters chasing her. All right, let's talk this last one. So it is by
Interesting.
Empiric Spirit, and I designed my own pony. Her name is Mop Shine. Get it? Because she's a mop head.
Mm-hmm.
I am interested in what that is. Is that a
I think
horde?
that's
It's like
more
a
mop handle.
front head ponytail. You could just make them a unicorn. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be like the handle of a mop,
yeah, basically.
acting as the unicorn.
But it's like a ponytail on the forehead, which is always really awkward.
Maybe it is actually just a mop on their head, but like a very short mop.
So are they like a dog? Because they got like a pony body, but then they've got a dog snout.
I
I'm
think
confused.
that's just issues in rendering of the horse. because there's a few elements here that are off of your regular MLP or even most divergent styles. So, a very important thing while doing any pictures is make sure you do an undersketch. An undersketch is, as it sounds, it's the very first sketch you're laying down after doing a thumbnailing. If you choose to do a thumbnail, I suggest thumbnails. Basically, it's just a very rough layout of what you're looking for out of this, and you're just getting lines down so you can build up that character from there. In the cases of things like this, it helps to make sure that proportions are maintained, so you can easily measure out head to body ratios. You can measure the rest of the scene around it to ensure that it fits within the scene, and it gives you a very easy point to correct the simple mistakes like that. And then you get to morph it into the wonderful horse that you're going for.
The
My
tail
thing-
just needs to... Oh, so you go.
My thing to add is remember and know what the joints of the legs are and what they look like and how they're spaced out. How this is the knee and this is the hip, this is the heel and this is the toe-ish sort of thing. It gets a little complicated at that point, trying to compare with human anatomy.
Yeah,
Horses walking on their nails.
basically.
Yeah, but they still have forward bending knees and they still have
Mhm.
backwards bending heels, just like humans and pretty much any animal does. It just
Almost any
proportions are a little different.
quadruped land animal has the same joints, just organized
Yeah.
differently.
And CPC does like an animal studies course, so you know your stuff. This is also
so
worth,
Horses
just
don't have
neat.
backwards knees.
yeah. It's just worth noting, neatening up the anatomy, just where you've placed your legs and everything. I see a lot of people sort of when they do the legs, they very much try, they like, okay, here's the thigh, and then like, here's the leg, yeah, and it's like, that's not how it's meant to be, really. A lot of things, the stuff now, like newer Hasbro things and like things fighting herds and other sort of stuff will make that a lot more gentle. Like they'll bring it down a bit. Even that was terrible. I did not do that very well. I am drawing over CPC's thing. I'm sorry. I'll love
No.
It's a leg inside a leg, it's fine.
that. Legception. I would also recommend doing like front views and other different things so you can show like what they look like from different angles, because otherwise we can't really tell much about them, especially because their mane, I guess, is and this actually is a mop on their head, is covering their face from this angle. We can't really tell much about them. And otherwise, I also just like neatened up the tail a bit because it comes straight out the butt, and as we've just been talking about some of the other pictures, no poop tail. It's got to come out at the base of the spine, which is here. And then no butt tail, and then it just sort of has this odd sort of shape with the original thing, where it's like really thick, and then it just sort of like branches. It almost looks like a hand, like a cartoonish hand, like hey, like waving. So I made it have more of a tail shape, like it's coming out, and it's got gravity and weight and mass to it. Yeah, just like that. The CPC is from.
Yeah. All right. I think that's about it. So if I may, hop over to our subreddit where you've posted this and go look on the right side. You'll see a list of guides. It'll be labeled as beginner guides and exterior guides and tutorials. Click on both of those links and go through a few of the anatomy guides. There's a few very good ones listed there that will very much help with your next picture. Your next picture may not improve majorly, but over time, if you keep drawing, they will get a lot better. Trust us. We've been there. We started at some point, and we've improved to wherever
That's something
we
that's
are.
really easy to forget for a lot of people, is that like it's you sort of know it, but like it's so hard to actually see the artists you like and think, well, that at one point they were like a beginner. Like it's so easy to think, oh, they just have this amazing skill I can't replicate. Like how I'll never be that good, or it'll take me ages to be that good. And it's not true. Like they drew crappy pictures as well, and sometimes you just got to draw crappy pictures, and then eventually you'll be drawing better and better pictures.
Yep, at one point we were only drawing stick figures with crayons. And now look at us now. Now we draw stick horses with...
Stick horses, heck yeah. With mop heads.
Yeah, wait. Alright, anyone else have any other they'd like to critique? Any other questions they'd like to ask? Right now I see a whole lot of no one on our chat, but hey.
Q pencil, no. My beautiful
Yes.
creation.
Your creation didn't have enough fluff. Also, it's missing a leg.
Well, okay. I'm working on it.
Well, you. I just noticed that the fluff monster attacking Twilight on the left there. They're just slamming into her face. It's like motion blurred.
Alright, well with that, we'll call it a day. Thank you all for coming, and we'll see you again next week.